Hello Sagittarius, my name is Keith Haswell and I'm a professional astrologer with 40 years experience in the business. Also a teacher of astrology, meditation and reincarnation and other metaphysical subjects, and an author on these. And I've got 30,000 clients worldwide. It's my pleasure to welcome you, Sagittarius, to this reading of your horoscope for July and August 2014. Now what I'm going to do for you here, Sagittarius, is I'm going to first of all tell you a few things about yourself. That's always a lot of fun, to tell you what makes up your personality and what qualities and principles and values that you're developing in this lifetime, and what sort of events and conditions that you'll experience on a lifetime basis in this incarnation. And then I'm going to look at the cycles for you from the movements of the planets through the houses of your horoscope. First of all, I'll look, Sagittarius, at the slower moving bodies. Saturn takes 2.5 years to transit through a particular house of our horoscope, so it's a very powerful influence, and I'll be telling you what it's doing in the months of July and August 2014 and prior to this and beyond this, so that you get an idea of what sort of obstacles that you've set up in front of yourself and what qualities, principles and values that you're called upon to develop within yourself. And I'm also going to look at Jupiter, which is a slower moving body too, that takes 12 months to transit through a particular house of our horoscope, but that one's a very good one. That one's a very powerful one for the good and for expansion in your life generally. Then I'm going to look at the faster moving bodies, Sagittarius, of the Sun, Mercury, Venus and Mars through the houses of your horoscope during these 2 months of July and August. So you just sit back and relax now and enjoy the journey here with me. And first of all, I'm going to just run through a few things, as I always do, as a preliminary to going into things for you. Now you, Sagittarius, are a spiritual being. You are a spiritual being. You're not a human being. You are a member of the human family, but primarily you are a spiritual being. You have signed up in ages gone by to a series of reincarnations, to a series of incarnations in order to develop qualities, principles and values within yourself, and in order to expand your consciousness. So you've been in incarnation for at least 90,000 years, so you're a lot older than what you think. And you've lived hundreds of lifetimes, Sagittarius. Now, the purpose of life, Sagittarius, is consciousness expansion. And we do this through a space-time rule set that we call our Earth. And in that space-time rule set, we are experimenting, experiencing and expressing our consciousness. And through that experiment, experience and expression, we are developing certain faculties of the soul within ourselves, certain principles and values of the soul within ourselves. And we're more conscious now than what we were in our last lifetime, and we were more conscious in that lifetime than what we were in the previous lifetime, and so forth. So you are working now towards the expansion of your consciousness. Now God and Goddess have given us the gift of eternal life. They've given us 2 beautiful gifts, Sagittarius, and one of them is the gift of eternal life. We can never ever die. And so we come in and out of life time after time after time until we reach a level of relative perfection, and then we can move on into higher dimensions of consciousness where there's greater and more complex opportunities for growth and expansion beyond the human level altogether. But we're all not haven't reached that level of relative perfection, otherwise we wouldn't be here. So it's not as if you're set to do this amount of incarnations or that amount of incarnations. You can make this incarnation a gigantic step forward in the evolution of your consciousness. Now the other beautiful gift that God and Goddess have given us is the gift of consciously creating our reality and the events and conditions in our reality in accordance and compliance with our conscious choice. Now, most of us Sagittarius don't want to accept that responsibility, because we look at the conditions and events in our life and we think, wow, I've got problems with finances, I've got difficulties in relationships, I've got problems with my job, I've got problems with friends, I've got problems with children, I've got problems with my health, I've got addictions and so forth that I haven't overcome, and who can I blame for this? And so the natural ones to blame is mum and dad. They didn't do it right, they didn't love me the right way. And so we point the finger of blame at them. Or we point the finger of blame at that boss, ex-boss who fired us. Or we point the finger of blame at that offender. Or we point the finger of blame at that ex-spouse. Or whatever. As long as we can say that they're the ones to blame for my conditions and events in my life and my predicament in my life. That's why I'm so inhibited. That's why I'm such a defect. Now, there's a problem, Sagittarius, with this type of logic, though. You see, if we're wanting to point the finger of blame, then it means that we've got to keep ourselves in those limited state of consciousness. We've got to keep those negative things there in our life. Otherwise, we can no longer point the finger of blame. If we're having a raging success with our finances, and we're happy in our relationships and happy with our children and happy in business or career and so forth, and happy with friends, that we can't point the finger of blame anymore. So therefore, subconsciously, Sagittarius, we keep ourselves in that limited state of consciousness so that we can continue to point the finger of blame. Now, all of us have got the same raw materials for the creation of the events and conditions of our life. Now, you are creating, make no mistake about it, Sagittarius, you are the one creating all of the events and conditions of your life. No one is responsible for it. That's the power that God and Goddess have given you. The trouble is that we're not doing it consciously. We're doing it subconsciously through our raw materials. And everybody has the same raw materials, Sagittarius, and they are our attitudes, our beliefs, our thoughts and our feelings. And those attitudes and beliefs and thoughts and feelings sponsor decisions and choices. And a lot of those decisions and choices are not positive ones. They're not constructive ones. We have all of these attitudes and beliefs inside ourselves that relationships don't work out for me, I'm unlovable, I'll never amount to anything, I can't find myself a good job, life is a financial struggle for me, and low self-esteem, problems with our self-image. That's not to mention our addictions and so forth, like drugs and alcohol, and overdoing it with the social side of life, overdoing it with sex, overdoing it with the bad food and so on and so forth. The way that we abuse ourselves is something awful. So Sagittarius, you've brought yourself to my website, you've brought yourself to my video here in order to take a gigantic step forward in the expansion of your consciousness, because subconsciously you've been calling out to that higher self of yours to find your way home, to get yourself out of this problem that you find yourself in. And so we've all got these raw materials, and we mould and shape these raw materials, Sagittarius, into the events and conditions of our life with 3 tools. Nobody has any different tools, and they are our desire, imagination and expectancy. What do we desire to happen? What do we expect to happen? And what do we imagine is going to happen? So we've got all of these negative attitudes and beliefs and thoughts and feelings that we're engendering there within ourselves, and they're creating thought forms. We have 50,000 thoughts a day, Sagittarius. And a lot of those thoughts are quite negative and very repetitive, and we're pumping up these thought forms with repetitive habitual patterns of thought and feeling, and they are living in our aura as thought forms. And when they get to a certain point where they're ready to explode and they're ready for plucking, or like a piece of ripe fruit on the tree, then the planets moving through the houses of the horoscope activate these thought forms and they manifest into conditions and events in your life. So every single event in your life is the result of a thought form. No exceptions. So this is what's happening, is that we've got all of these thought forms inside of ourselves of a negative nature that we've been repeating time after time after time for decades, and they precipitate into events and conditions in our life, and we wonder why we're unhealthy and why we've got problems in relationships and why we've got problems with our finances and difficulties with our job and problems with children and difficulties with our health and so forth. So this is what we're all in. We're all spiritual beings living in a spiritual classroom, Sagittarius, and there's no getting out of it. The object of the exercise is to be able to consciously create your reality in accordance with your conscious choice instead of your subconscious choice, because it's your subconscious choices that's manifesting all of these events and conditions in your life through repetitive raw materials that are there, attitudes, beliefs and thoughts and feelings. So this is what we're all doing, and the object of the exercise is to be able to redirect the energies of the mind. Sagittarius, the mind is a director of energy. Energy is coming to us from the earth, from the planets and from the sun, and these energies of mind are pumping up these thought forms, and that's the way that it all works. And so we have 50,000 thoughts a day, and we're pumping these thought forms up and activating them and bringing them into manifestation as conditions and events in our life. So the object of the exercise, Sagittarius, is to redirect the energies of the mind from these negative patterns of thought and feeling and our attitudes and beliefs, and to redirect them to more positive thoughts and feelings and more positive attitudes and beliefs. And then these other ones die of attrition over a period of time. And what we find, Sagittarius, then, is that the events and conditions that we're experiencing in life become more harmonious and in line with what we consciously want to create. So that's the object of the exercise. Now, I won't talk any longer on this because there's a lot that I want to cover here in the 30 minutes that I try to limit myself to on this video. So now I'll just tell you a few things about yourself, Sagittarius. First of all, you're a fire sign, so you've got a lot of enthusiasm for your ideas in life. You're very goal-oriented. The symbol of Sagittarius is the arrow flying through the air. And you are very goal-oriented. You need to have a progressive goal to work towards in life, to find happiness in life. You're very, there's a tremendous amount of duality in your nature. You feel at times as if there's two people in the one body. You're very adventurous and you like travel. You like to adventure into things and study and research and investigate philosophy and things like that. You'll certainly do a lot of travel. You're very sports-minded, Sagittarius. Now, you're very practical with regard to money matters, and you'll keep proper records and so forth of your money, but quite often if you're not utilising the energies of that concretized energy, which is what money is, if you're not using that energy wisely, then you can have a lot of frustrations and difficulties and privations with regard to money. Now, you will experience some throat and neck trouble from time to time, and you can experience also some difficulties with the sex organs or the bowel. Now, you seem to have a very futuristic mind, Sagittarius. You're strongly attracted towards things like meditation and reincarnation and related subjects. Anything that's out of the ordinary is naturally appealing to you. You drive an unusual vehicle, perhaps an unusual make or an unusual model or something like that. You could even ride a push bike or a motorbike. Anything that's different is appealing to you. You experience quite a lot of strange circumstances through relatives and neighbours. There's unusual types of alliances there with relatives and neighbours. And you can have relatives, for example, who are not your true relatives, but relatives in law and adopted relatives and so on and so forth. Now, You live near the water at some time in your life, Sagittarius, and you enjoy living near the water. You'll have a strong leaning towards the mystical side of life and the spiritual side of life as you get older. There's a lot of worries in your childhood home. Okay, you had one of your parents was an alcoholic or a drug addict or something like that. There's a lot of secret worries about your upbringing as a child. And there's secrets there within the family that you can't openly discuss with other people. There's a lot of insecurities there. The home could be broken into at some time in your life, Sagittarius. And you yourself could have problems with drugs and alcohol in the later part of your life as well. Now, you seem to be a little bit impulsive early in life, in romance and love. You jump into a few hasty relationships and get your fingers burnt. You've got a high sex drive. You have a scar on the lower part of the leg or the ankle from a cut, burn or a scald. You can have high blood pressure. You've been actively involved in sports earlier in life, and so you've knocked your body around quite a lot. You've overdone it on the social side of life. You have a lot of stresses and tensions there in romance and love matters, and you can be having problems with children too. There can be an accident involving a child at some time in life, and any children that you bring into the world, they can be difficulties with the birth process, a lot of bloody birth and so on and so forth. Now, you seem to work in a job where you handle money, finances or accounts at some time in your life quite feasibly. And you could work with things of the earth, like plants and shrubs and material possessions and things like that, appliances and things like that, or with companies that are dealing with them, or with finances or furnishings or things like that. Now, you have more than one marriage. Most times Sagittarius have more than one marriage, and you could even have two relationships going at the one time, Sagittarius. Your partner is a real split personality, so they're hard to get to understand properly, Sagittarius. So that just gives you a little bit of an understanding about some of the conditions and circumstances and a little bit about your personality. Now I'm going to look at these movements of the planets for you, Sagittarius, through the houses of your horoscope. Now, Saturn is a very slow moving body, and it takes 2.5 years to transit through a particular house of our horoscope. And you've had Saturn in the 12th house for the last 12 months, and it's there right at the moment. Now, with Saturn being in the 12th house, you've perhaps had the hospitalisation of a relative. An older relative, could be a parent or an older figure. There's been a lot of secret worries for you, perhaps to do with career objectives in the last 12 months. You've had poor circulation in the feet and difficulties with cold feet. Now, Saturn is retrograde at the moment on the 1st of July. I'm always going to start with these things from the 1st of July. And that means with Saturn retrograde, it's impacting upon your finances. So you've got a lot of secret worries and frustrations to do with money. And there's also some lung and bronchial trouble for you during this time. And there's problems with relatives. Could be sickness or illness involving a relative. Breakdowns of motor vehicles and problems with getting from A to B. Delays and obstructions with transit and getting from A to B and so forth. Then on the 21st of July, Saturn moves direct in the 12th house, so it'll still continue to see secret worries about parents, secret worries about your career, and frustrations there to do with the health of older figures in your life and so on and so forth. And frustrations to do with the job and that type of thing. Now, Jupiter, Sagittarius, is in the 8th house of your horoscope from the 1st of July, and it's about to change into the 9th house. But Jupiter, that means, has been in the 8th house of your horoscope for the last 12 months. So with Jupiter in the 8th house of your horoscope, you've had a tremendous urge. You don't know where you got this urge. It's just been a tremendous urge to make changes within yourself, Sagittarius. You've had a tremendous urge to delve into the mysteries of life and the mysteries of yourself. You've got a lot of addictions and addictive patterns of behaviour on a variety of different levels that you've been trying to work with over the last 12 months and to understand and to get on top of. There might have been money coming to you from a deceased estate or from some unexpected source in the last 12 months. But you've certainly developed a lot of understanding about the deeper aspects of yourself, the mystery of you and those addictive patterns of behaviour, and you've made a lot of adjustments and changes within yourself. Now then on the 17th of July, Jupiter enters the 9th house of your horoscope, Sagittarius, and that's going to see a tremendous urge for expansion over the following 12 months. So you'll have a tremendous urge to expand your understanding and get stuck into my intensives and things like that. You want to just grow and reach and stretch. You'll have a tremendous urge also to travel. So there can be happiness through travel, and you could travel with a relative on your spouse's side if you're in a marriage. But you've got tremendous stars in the next 12 months from the 17th of July onwards to expand your understanding about philosophy and spiritual growth and development. Now I'm going to look at the faster moving bodies for you, Sagittarius, the Sun, Mercury, Venus and Mars. Now on the 1st of July, Sagittarius, you've got the Sun in the 8th house of your horoscope. So that means that you're in a very introspective mood at the moment, and spending a lot of time thinking and reflecting upon aspects of your nature that you're working on to develop and control. And there can be a focus also upon joint finances that you share with your spouse or partner if you have one. Mercury and Venus are both in the 7th house of your horoscope. Now with Mercury in the 7th house of your horoscope on the 1st of July, Sagittarius, it means that there's a lot more communication there with your spouse, a lot more communication with the general public, and with Venus being there in the 7th house, there's a lot more social involvements revolving around the general public, like parades and getting out to shopping malls and things like that. So there's a great deal of love for your spouse or partner with Venus in the 7th house, and you'll be getting out to restaurants and places of amusement and things like that, where there's plenty of people. Now Mars is in the 11th house of your horoscope, Sagittarius, right from the get-go, 1st of July. And with Mars in the 11th house of your horoscope, there's potential for stresses and tensions with friends, problems with other people's children, accidents involving friends and other people's children, illness, stresses and tensions to do with group interests, and you can have an injury to the foot and an injury to the lower part of the leg or the ankle during that time. So don't argue with friends. They'll be very dominant and assertive in your life at this time. Now then, the first change that we come to, Sagittarius, is on the 14th of July. Mercury moves into the 8th house of your horoscope. Now that's going to start a period of introspection and reflection upon changes that you're trying to bring about within yourself. Matters relating to joint finances that you share with a spouse or partner will come to the fore, and questions about the mysteries of life after death and things like that also come to the fore. Venus moves into the 8th house of your horoscope on the 19th of July, Sagittarius. And with Venus in the 8th house of your horoscope, it's beneficial financially through your spouse. They'll have some improvement financially. There's also good stars for you for delving into the deeper side of life, but it will stimulate your sex drive when Venus is in the 8th house of your horoscope. And there's a love of the mysteries of life with Venus in the 8th house. On the 23rd of July, Sagittarius, the Sun moves into the 9th house of your horoscope. Now the Sun is very much at home in the 9th house because Sagittarius is the 9th sign. So with the Sun being in its own sign, it means that it's coming up to your birthday, and it also means that it's going to see a focus upon expansion, travel, and expansion of that consciousness through study of philosophy, research and investigation of religion and spirituality and so on and so forth. On the 27th of July, which is the next movement that we have Mars going into the 12th house of your horoscope. That hurts in the feet, Sagittarius. You'll have an injury to the foot sometime over the next 2 or 3 weeks. And you can get yourself embroiled in all sorts of secret activities when Mars is in the 12th house, especially sexual expression. So there's a lot of potential there for secret involvements and self-undoing, self-sabotage. You can be your own worst enemy when Mars is in the 12th house. So don't trust those impulses and those instincts, because they'll get you into trouble, and watch out for those feet. Now, Mercury moves into the 9th house of your horoscope on the 11th of August, Sagittarius, and when Mercury is in the 9th house, there's a lot more communication with relatives on your spouse's side, foreign people and people from overseas. There's a lot more communication about spiritual things and education and things like that. And then on the 13th of August, Venus moves into the 9th house of your horoscope, Sagittarius, seeing a lot more social involvements with the in-laws, should they play a prominent part in your life. And also with Venus in the 9th house of your horoscope, there's a lot of potential there for travel. Distant travel, interstate or overseas, would be a possibility for a holiday. And there's a great deal of love for people who are born overseas. Then on the 16th of August, Mercury moves into the 10th house of your horoscope, Sagittarius, and with Mercury in the 10th house, there's a lot more dealings with government departments, a lot more communications with parents, and there can be a lot of involvements too with career and business, high achievements and things like that during that time. And then the last one that we come to, Sagittarius, is on the 24th of August. The Sun moves into the 10th house of your horoscope, and that starts a period of 30 days where you'll have a strong focus upon parents, a strong focus upon the career and business, and a lot of extra dealings with government departments when the Sun is in the 10th house. But you're aiming towards high achievements and esteem in the community when the Sun is in the 10th house of your horoscope. And that's as far as I go for you, Sagittarius. So where do you go from here? Just to wrap things up for you, where do you go from here? Well, I'm happy to do your horoscope chart for you free of charge. Now, this is very important because this tells you where your ascendant is. Your ascendant is your rising sign. And if you know your time of birth accurately within a half an hour, I can do your horoscope chart for you with your rising sign, and that tells you a lot about yourself, because you can then look at the video that's not just to do with your sun sign, but the one to do with your rising sign. Both of them are important, but you can look at the video there for your rising sign as well, and you'll find a lot of congruity there. And you go to my website, www.mysteryofsirius.com, and submit your birth details through the Your Horoscope page of my website, and then that also gives us your email address so that we can then send you your chart, your horoscope chart, and we can send you all of the videos that I've done over the last 18 months, 125 videos that I've done on all aspects of personal and spiritual growth. And we'll also be able to send you 12 CDs out of my first book, What Really Matters. Now, that's a book on astrology, meditation and reincarnation. Now, you might say, well, I'm not really interested in astrology. Well, Sagittarius, we are all living and moving and having our being through the 12 houses of our horoscope. There's no getting away from the fact that that's where we have our consciousness. And the 12 houses of our horoscope, just very quickly, the first house is where we are fulfilling our needs to have impact and to commence and start projects and ideas. The second house is where we are fulfilling our security needs and our financial needs, and to be secure financially and also physically, to feel safe. The third house is where we are fulfilling our communication needs. So we all have these needs in life, Sagittarius, and we have to fulfill those needs. Otherwise, we're never going to find happiness and success in our life. And the third house is fulfilling our communication needs, to be communicating and understood. And the fourth house is where we are fulfilling our belonging needs, to belong to a home and a family and the domestic side of life. The fifth house is where we are fulfilling our needs to express our love and to also to have fun. And we do that normally through children and through romance, love and sexual expression and the social side of our life. The sixth house is where we fulfill our service needs, to be of service to the community, and we do that through our job, and to be of service to ourselves through right food, exercise and diet. So health fits into that category. To the seventh house is where we fulfill our needs to have a mate, and to have someone that we can get to know and be intimate with, and who can get to know us, to be known and to know someone intimately and closely is a very important need. The eighth house is where we are fulfilling our needs for change and transformation, and we do that through introspection and reflection and through death. The ninth house is where we are fulfilling our needs for expansion, and we do that through adult education, through overseas travel and interstate travel, and looking at other societies and civilizations and cultures, and also through our philosophy and research into spirituality and so forth. The 10th house is where we are fulfilling our esteeming needs, Sagittarius, and those esteeming needs we do through high achievements in career and business. To be well thought of in the community is a very important need. The 11th house is where we fulfill our needs to experience group consciousness, and we do that through club activities, group social functions and club activities. And the 12th house is where we fulfill our needs for solitude, and we do that most times through self-punishment and crisis. And we end up in hospital many times just so that we can have that solitude and that introspection and reflection that comes from solitude, and that aspiration towards the divine through the pain and suffering that we experience in our life. So whether you believe in astrology or not makes no difference. That's where we're living. That's where we're living and moving and having our being, Sagittarius, here in these 12 houses of the horoscope. Now, the object of the exercise, Sagittarius, is the development of wisdom. Now, we develop wisdom through two means, through two methodologies. One is through an intake of knowledge, and the other is through experience. Now, we've all had a whole heap of experience in our life, and some of those experiences, Sagittarius, are not too good, not too happy. And so we have to change those experiences in our life, and we do that through an intake of knowledge. You'll never develop wisdom just through experience, and you'll never develop wisdom just through an intake of knowledge, Sagittarius. You'll develop wisdom through a synergy, a combination of experience and an intake of knowledge, and synergistically out of it comes a whole that is greater than the sum of the parts, and that whole is wisdom. So God and Goddess are there waiting to be your partner, and they love you and they know your name. Your higher self is a piece of God and Goddess that you are becoming, and they have brought you through hundreds of lifetimes to get where you are today. Your future self is an aspect of your soul that contains everything that you are becoming and have been in this lifetime. So they're there to be your partner in this growth and development and expansion of your consciousness. So it's time for us to utilize these gifts that God and Goddess have given us. The gift of eternal life and the gift to consciously create our reality in accordance and compliance with our conscious choice rather than our subconscious choice through our blockages and our limitations and our addictive patterns of behaviour, to turn towards the development of our principles and values. That's where we are meant to be. That's where we are meant to grow. So you can change the whole events and conditions in your life, Sagittarius, by changing those raw materials. And you can do that through the power of meditation, and you can learn about meditation through my book, What Really Matters. I'll send you 12 CDs, audio CDs with beautiful backing music, free of charge, once you submit your birth details through my horoscope. And I'm happy to do horoscope number 2 for you, which is a more in-depth thing. It's a 20-page printout all about you. And you alone, not just your sun sign or your rising sign. It tells you where all of your planets are, where the Sun, the Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune and Pluto, where all of those planets are. All of those planets have meaning in your life, and which houses do they sit in, and which signs do they sit in, and what aspects and relationships do those planets have with each other that show you where you are growing and reaching and stretching in this life to become more of who you really are, and also where your limitations are and where you've made mistakes in past lives. And so you can learn from that 20-page printout for only $10. For only $10 you get a 20-page printout all about you and you alone. There won't be another person born with the same horoscope as you, Sagittarius, for another 25,000 years. You're a unique individual. Someone born 2 hours different from you has an entirely different horoscope than you do. So that $10 number 2 horoscope is a vital component of your understanding of yourself, and to give you the motivation and the understanding so that you can go on with the job and become more of the giant that you truly are. So I'm happy to have had the opportunity here to talk with you, and I look forward to working further with you should you decide to submit your birth details through the Your Horoscope page of my website. And I wish you well in life in the future. Thank you.